In this video, we're going to be doing a basic overview on the topic systematics in biology. The subtopics under systematics that we're going to be delving into include Introduction to Systematics, Taxonomy, Levels of Taxonomic Hierarchy, Principles of Taxonomy, Nomenclature. Let's dive right into Introduction to Systematics. So what is systematics? Systematics is a branch of biology that deals with the classification and naming of organisms in a way that reflects their evolutionary relationships. This creates a hierarchical structure, like a nested set of boxes, where closely related organisms are placed together within progressively larger groups. It also gives us an understanding of how organisms have changed over time and how they are related to each other through descent from common ancestors. It encompasses taxonomy, the theory and practice of classifying organisms, and nomenclature, the naming of organisms. Taxonomy is the science of identifying, describing, classifying, and naming organisms. It provides a framework that allows biologists to communicate about species and to understand the relationships between different organisms. Taxonomy creates detailed descriptions of organisms, including their physical features, anatomy, and any unique characteristics. It places an unknown organism within the existing classification system. This is like figuring out the puzzle piece that fits a specific spot. Taxonomy includes organizing organisms into hierarchical groups based on shared characteristics. The most common ranking system, from largest to smallest, is domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Let's get into the levels of taxonomic hierarchy. Imagine a giant family tree, but instead of relatives, it branches out to encompass all living things on Earth. The taxonomic hierarchy is the system scientists use to organize this vast and diverse family, arranging organisms into progressively specific levels based on their shared characteristics and evolutionary relationships. Here's a breakdown of the major levels, from broadest to most specific. Starting off, we have domain, the highest level encompassing all life forms. Currently, there are 3 domains: bacteria, single-celled prokaryotes without a nucleus; archaea, single-celled prokaryotes with a unique cellular structure different from bacteria; eukarya, more complex organisms with a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles like plants, animals, fungi, and protists. Next, we have kingdom, the next major division within a domain. Each kingdom groups organisms with fundamental similarities in their cellular organization, nutrition, and reproduction. For example, Animalia, multicellular heterotrophic organisms that obtain nutrition by consuming other organisms. Plantae, multicellular eukaryotic organisms that are autotrophic, meaning they produce their own food through photosynthesis. Fungi, heterotrophic organisms that break down organic matter and absorb nutrients. Next, we have phylum, a more specific level within a kingdom, further dividing organisms based on shared characteristics like body plan, development, and evolutionary history. Examples within Animalia: Chordata, vertebrates with a backbone, and Arthropoda, invertebrates with an exoskeleton and jointed legs. Within Plantae, Tracheophyta, vascular plants with xylem and phloem, and Bryophyta, non-vascular plants like mosses. Next, we have class, a further subdivision within a phylum, grouping organisms with even closer evolutionary relationships and shared characteristics within the phylum. Examples: within Chordata, Mammalia, warm-blooded animals with fur and mammary glands, and aves, birds with feathers and wings. Within Tracheophyta, Coniferophyta, cone-bearing plants, and Magnoliophyta, flowering plants. Next, we have order, a more refined level within a class, further dividing organisms based on specific adaptations and evolutionary history within the class. Examples: within Mammalia, primates, humans, apes, monkeys, lemurs, and carnivora, cats, dogs, bears. Within Magnoliophyta, Rosidae, roses, apples, legumes, and Asterales, daisies, sunflowers, asters. Next, we have family, a group of closely related genera that share a recent common ancestor. Organisms within a family typically have a strong resemblance in morphology, physical form, behavior, and ecological niche. Examples: within primates, Hominidae, humans and chimpanzees, and Felidae, cats. Within Rosidae, Rosaceae, roses, apples, and Fabaceae, peas, beans. Next, we have genus, a group of closely related species that can potentially interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Organisms within a genus share a high degree of similarity but have distinct characteristics that separate them as species. Examples: within Hominidae, Homo, humans, and pan, chimpanzees. Within rosacea, rosa, roses, and malus, apples. And lastly, we have species, the fundamental unit of classification representing a group of organisms that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Species share a recent common ancestor, a specific genetic makeup, and are adapted to a particular ecological niche. Examples: within Homo, Homo sapiens, modern humans. Within Rosa, Rosa canina, dog rose, and Rosa rugosa, beach rose. Let's move on to the principles of taxonomy. Taxonomy, the science of classifying organisms, relies on a set of core principles to bring order to the incredible diversity of life. These principles ensure consistency, objectivity, and facilitate communication among biologists worldwide. Here's a closer look at some key principles. 1. Shared characteristics. The foundation of classification lies in shared characteristics. Organisms are grouped based on similarities in their morphology, physical structure, anatomy, and external features. Physiology, internal functions, metabolism, and biochemical processes. Genetics, DNA sequences and gene expression patterns. Behavior, reproductive strategies, feeding habits, and social interactions. Evolutionary history, relationships based on descent from common ancestors. By analyzing these characteristics, taxonomists determine how closely related organisms are and group them accordingly. 2. Monophily. This principle emphasizes the importance of grouping organisms based on their evolutionary history. A monophyletic group, or clade, includes all the descendants of a single common ancestor. It's like a complete family lineage, encompassing all the relatives that share a recent ancestor. For example, the class Mammalia is considered monophyletic because it includes all animals descended from a common mammalian ancestor. 3. Nested hierarchy. The taxonomic hierarchy creates a nested structure. Broader groups, like kingdoms, encompass progressively more specific groups, like families and species. This nested system reflects the evolutionary relationships between organisms. Imagine a set of nesting dolls, where each smaller doll fits inside a larger one, representing a broader classification. Number 4. Ranks and binomial nomenclature. Taxonomic ranks provide a standardized way to categorize organisms. The most common ranking system goes from broadest to most specific: domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Binomial nomenclature, developed by Carolus Linnaeus, assigns a unique two-part scientific name to each species. This universal naming system ensures clear communication across languages and eliminates confusion. 5. Universality and objectivity. Taxonomy strives for universal acceptance and objectivity. The goal is to create a classification system that reflects the true evolutionary relationships between organisms, not subjective opinions. International codes govern the naming of organisms, ensuring consistency and avoiding naming conflicts. 6. Dynamism and revision. The tree of life is constantly evolving as new discoveries are made. Taxonomic classifications are not set in stone. With advancements in tools like DNA analysis, relationships between organisms can be reevaluated, and the classification system may be revised to reflect new understanding of evolutionary history. Number 7. Integration of multiple lines of evidence. Modern taxonomy utilizes various data sources to classify organisms. Morphology, behavior, and ecological niches remain important, but genetic analysis plays a crucial role in revealing evolutionary relationships. By integrating information from multiple sources, taxonomists build a more robust and comprehensive classification system. These principles guide taxonomists in their quest to organize the incredible diversity of life on Earth. They create a framework for understanding how organisms are related, how they have evolved, and how they fit into the grand tapestry of life. Let's move on ahead and talk about nomenclature. So what is nomenclature? Nomenclature is the system of naming organisms. The names are usually in Latin or are Latinized. The primary goal of nomenclature is to ensure that each organism has a unique and universally accepted name. The system of naming organisms is governed by specific codes. 1. Binomial nomenclature. Developed by Carl Linnaeus, binomial nomenclature is the standard method for naming species. Each species is given a two-part name: the genus name, capitalized, and the species epithet, not capitalized, both italicized or underlined, e.g. Homo sapiens. 2. Nomenclatural codes. International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICZN, governs the naming of animals. International Code of Nomenclature for Algae, Fungi, and Plants, ICN, governs the naming of these groups. International Code of Nomenclature of Bacteria, ICNB, governs the naming of prokaryotes. International Code of Virus Classification and Nomenclature, ICVCN, governs the naming of viruses. 3. Principles of nomenclature. Uniqueness. Each name must be unique. Universality. Names should be universally accepted and used. Stability. Names should remain stable over time to avoid confusion. Priority. The first validly published name has precedence over later names. So in summary, systematics provides the framework for understanding the relationships between organisms. Taxonomy is the hands-on process of sorting them into this framework. Nomenclature provides the universal language to discuss these organisms precisely. These three areas work together to create a shared understanding of the incredible diversity of life on our planet. Now we've come to the end of the video. Please be reminded that this is just a basic overview of the topic for stuff like last-minute prep or just wanting to get an idea of what the topic is about beforehand. Always refer back to your textbooks for a more detailed explanation. Be rest assured that future content on this channel promises to provide more in-depth explanations with easy-to-understand concepts in order to make the learning experience a lot more convenient for you. If you liked the video, remember to hit the like button. And if you want to see more content from this channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss a single video. That's all for now. See you in the next video.